Hey everyone, it's Marla. Welcome back to Twinstrology, where we talk about twin flames, astrology, and ascension. And today we are going to be talking about the spring eclipse portal and another Sirius shift as the planet Mars goes over the Sirius point, and that is creating a masculine energy reset that is going to be affecting all of us. So before I get into the video and talking about that reset, just a reminder to follow me on social media. I am Twinstrology on Facebook and Twinstrology 1111 on Instagram. Let me just say too that there's a lot of scammers and fakes on Instagram pretending to be people. So if anyone approaches you saying that they're me and wanting you to buy a reading from me, and especially not going through my website, but trying to send you a PayPal that does not say Twinstrology or does not say Marla Kelly on it, that is not me. Be very careful. And if you see anyone approaching you or you just see a fake account, please report them. They have me blocked, so I can't report them. I'm dependent on you guys to do that for me and to make sure that other people don't get taken advantage of. So thank you. So how I've decided to break this video up is I'm going to talk about what is actually shifting and how it's affecting us. And then in the second part of the video, I'll talk about the astrology a little bit more. I might even break them up into two videos. So if you don't care about the astrology, then you can just watch the first part. If you are taking an interest in astrology or you want to learn more about astrology, then go ahead and watch the second part. But we are in an eclipse window right now, and today is the Libra full moon. It is April 6th, and this is the big start of the reset. And we're going to be feeling the energy primarily from today through to May 5th, which is the Scorpio lunar eclipse. But it will be extending a little bit beyond that because we're also going to be in Mercury retrograde. And Mercury is retrograde from April 21st to May 14th. So this portal is creating a reset for the masculine energy. But that doesn't really tell the whole story because really it's like there's a rebalancing of the masculine and feminine energy. But this rebalancing is going to be happening all year. But it's like right now, it's the masculine's turn to get deeply activated. And by masculine, of course, I mean the masculine energy in all of us. So we'll keep our focus on that fact as we talk about the changes that are coming up. But this energy started to change more rapidly in 2022. And I did several videos last year describing how the masculine was shifting, including a timeline reset video that came out on March 29th of last year. The divine masculine was transforming. I talked about this kind of the masculine integrating more feminine energy at Lionsgate. I had the video Heal the War Wound and Soul Group Splintering. And all of those energies that started to come into play in 2022 are reaching like a pivotal point here at these eclipses. And the Aries new moon eclipse on April 20th is going to be that pivotal point. And that's because Mars is going to be conjunct Sirius at the time of that eclipse. And it's also going to be the new moon's ruler. So while Mars is crossing the Sirius point, there's going to be incoming light codes from Sirius. And those codes are going to be felt from approximately April 20th to April 25th. And then I think we'll get a little break, and then we're going to be receiving more codes. And these codes are happening from April 30th to approximately May 11th. Now, April 30th is Beltane Eve, and May 1st is Beltane, or what some people call May Day. And that's the pagan festival of celebrating the union of the god and goddess. And the union come together, and sexual union has a way of manifesting the coming crops. You know, it's the middle of spring and we're thinking about planting. So it relates to that energy. But Beltane, it's also like the balance of the god and goddess, the balance of the masculine and feminine. And those codes that are coming in are also going to be connected to Atlantis and the fall of Atlantis. And I'll talk about that as we get into the video. But what's important to know at this time is that these codes are enabling an integration of the masculine and feminine. So if you are the twin that more embodies the masculine energy, these codes are going to help you embody more of your feminine. If you are the feminine, then these codes are helping you embody more of your masculine. And so we're bringing our energy fields into balance. These codes that we're receiving all year are recalibrating our energetic field. If you remember, I talked about this in a previous video. And the reason why our energetic fields are able to be recalibrated at this point is because of the amount of karma that many of you have been able to release. And I want to mention too that as we are working through this shift and we're releasing karma and we're going through the recalibration, what I've seen is that some of the energy that is being released, it's like it's stuck in the aura for a time being. And so you might be seeing that, you might be feeling that energy. And I feel like sometimes that can affect how people are reacting to us. So it's like there can be some negative energy in our field, and sometimes people are reacting in a negative way to us, and we might not realize why. And it could be because of the things that you're releasing. So I just wanted to touch on that in case anybody out there has experienced that. This karma that's being cleared right now is very important to our next step. And the masculine energy is very focused on this right now. This is the masculine's mission right now. And I want to say it that way because sometimes I know we can look at our twin and we can judge them and think that they're not doing anything or that they're not on mission. But this is what the masculine needs to be doing as far as their mission right now. It's just really hard for us to see that they're doing that work because it's an internal work. But it's also affecting the feminine and the feminine's purpose because of what the masculine is healing. It's enabling the feminine to shift. And that's why this integration and alignment that's happening is key. So a lot of what's being released right now has to do with past life grief. So you may experience that on more of a conscious level or an unconscious level. I feel like emotions could be definitely running high, and emotions are going to be felt, I feel, with this clearing. Keeping in mind that everybody's on a slightly different time frame depending on where they are in their own journeys. Another big part of this masculine activation has to do with karmic partner interference for both the masculine and feminine. So if there are third party energies interfering with your union, then something could be triggered at these eclipses in regards to that. And remember, eclipse windows are 6 months. They happen 6 months apart. So what gets set into motion at these eclipses, it could take several months to happen. But what I feel is going on is there's going to be significant pressure exerted on karmic relationships at this time. The most significant aspect that these light codes are healing within the masculine is that they are no longer resisting union and surrendering. What I got was like, it's a time where God's will is going to be done. And as we come into an alignment as twins, we're coming into alignment with God, and we are listening to what God has planned for us. This clearing is really releasing a lot of fear-based thinking, and that is really what is impacting the karmic relationships at this time, because a lot of them are being held together by fears and insecurities and all that it entails to move forward from those things. But when we don't have the fear anymore, there's going to be nothing keeping people there. There's also going to be heart chakra expansions with these codes. And it's going to be like you cannot hold back this love anymore. I talked about this energy in my April reading for twin flames. So that video will be a good companion video for this one, but that was the premise of what I got in the cards, was that there's this passionate energy that's like awakening our hearts, and it can't be held back, it can't be held in, it can't be hidden anymore, basically. And that means you can't hide it from your twin anymore. The fear of being rejected is gradually going to begin to clear. And the masculine really wants to talk to and see the feminine. And the masculine now understands and accepts the twin flame connection. So if you ever ask yourself, does my twin know that we're twin flames? Does my twin recognize the connection? Well, for many twins right now, yes, they do. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I will say that for those that have been on the journey with a 10-year cycle at least, and those around there, I feel like, yes, they are aware and they do know. And let me just interject here, guys, because, I did the 9-year cycle ending and this new cycle starting, or where it's really a 10-year cycle. And so a lot of people question, does that mean that if I didn't meet my twin in that, 10 years ago, I'm not coming into union? I don't know. I can't say, like, I think everybody's journey is different, and it's going to be where you are on your spiritual path, how awake you are, how much you've cleared, and what your soul contract is. So just because I'm specifically talking about people that met in 2011, 2012, and 2013, that doesn't necessarily exclude you from this energy. And I think it feels like a big collective energy from what I'm feeling and seeing. So don't get disheartened by that. At the same time, you've got to live in the moment, and we all need to be patient, because that's the biggest thing that we don't understand, is that this journey takes a lot more patience than anybody thinks or that anybody wants to admit to. And it takes time. The transitions take time. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So this shift is not just bringing twin flames together, but this is facilitating a collective healing of soul groups. So in addition to growth that you might be experiencing with your twin at this time, you're also likely to see growth with soul family members. That's why I mentioned that video that I did, healing the war wound and soul group splintering, because part of this old masculine energy created separation within the soul group. As we come into a state of union within ourselves, we broadcast that and we heal others, we attract them to us, and we begin to heal. So have you been seeing people return? Could be friends, could be family, or it could be new people that you're meeting and now connecting with in your soul family. This is part of a bigger healing, and that also is going to be a longer term type of energy as we begin to heal within our groups and then bringing that healing into humanity. But this energy isn't just affecting the masculine, it's affecting the feminine too. Now we know that we have masculine within, and so the changes in the masculine are happening within us, but there's also changes happening in the feminine. And this is because twin flames are being realigned at this time and probably over the next 6 months. So, like I said, shifts take time. So, we're in the beginning of this realignment, and it probably will go longer than a year. But I feel like the next 6 months, we're going to witness a lot of this realignment for twins. Like it's like the period between eclipses, because there's a lot astrologically going on. Of course, saying that, it's like there's always a lot of astrology stuff going on. But yeah, so we're being realigned, and the feminine is also healing a lot of grief, just like the masculine. And a lot of that is the masculine within us that is still feeling guilt and shame for things that happened in past lives. I want to mention one Sabian here, though. I know I said I would talk about the astrology later, but the North Node is on the 4th degree of Taurus for quite an extended period of time. And the Sabian symbol for that degree is a youthful widow, fresh and soul cleansed from grief, kneels at an open grave to receive the secrets of eternal life. Okay, and it's like we can't move forward in what we need to do, both in union and with our life purpose, because of this grief. What we don't really see is that this old grief is creating a big block with our twin and with our soul group. So it's important to take the time to do as much as we can to clear this. Now, Mercury is going to be conjunct the North Node on this degree as well. I think the day after the Aries eclipse. Shoot, I don't have my astrology chart with me, so don't quote me on that, but I think that's true. So let me just take a moment, though, to talk about some of the phrases associated with this Sabian, because it plays so much into what I'm saying here. Purging and burning the past, gradual realization of the illusion of matter, letting go of what no longer works, giving up past grievances, the passage of grief, receiving the gifts that loss and separation can bring through time, grief, divorce, loss. The cautions are grudges and bad feelings that last longer than needed, staring at the issue of loss and death, war and its horrors, the feeling that one has no future, people or events that just won't leave one's memory, hanging on for fear of the future. That's really exactly where we are as a collective. So my guides also said that an important healing was going to take place as Venus travels over the previous Mars retrograde. So I'm not sure exactly what we will feel, because that's not information that is ever talked about or that I've ever talked about. But when we have a retrograde in one planet, right, and Mars did so much healing during that retrograde, and now there'll be some, it's almost like some completions is what I'm getting, as Venus crosses those same points. So even though Venus isn't in retrograde or anything, it's like that's the feminine energy picking up on the masculine and all the things that the masculine healed and shifted during that retrograde. So that's going to be happening from April 18th, when Venus is conjunct 8 degrees, which is Mars station. And you'll be feeling that till approximately May 3rd, when Venus leaves the Mars retrograde area. And then don't forget, on May 19th, Venus is crossing the Sirius point, and this is going to be activating feminine codes. And I was told that May 19th is going to be one of the most important days of the year. So we'll keep seeing how that energy plays out as we get closer. So one of the things that the feminine is anchoring right now is a higher spiritual connection. So if you felt like disconnected um, from spirit, or you have felt kind of not quite in your intuitive energy like you normally are, something like that, that's part of the adjustments that are happening to our energetic field. And it's actually going to boost your spiritual connection when everything is recalibrated and we come back online. Now, the heart chakra activations that are coming in are going to expand our emotions. Whether, you're primarily embodying the masculine or feminine, I think that everybody is going to feel that, because it's like the masculine energy within us is going through a heart awakening. And so all kind of the more negative things that you've been feeling or not feeling, what have you been repressing through your masculine energy, could come up during the next 6 weeks and be felt. One of the things is like Mars is squaring Chiron during this time as well. So I think that will have a big effect on this. If you've been closed off to your twin, or if you've been blocking your love for your twin, then just know that you have to clear that energy in order to attract union. And I think, for many people, the hardest aspect of this energy that's coming this year is being in that state of forgiveness. We have to heal and release the separation and everything that you've been projecting onto your twin because of the experience of separation. Okay, we have to, I think, to move forward in the energy of forgiveness, it's helpful to see that separation is different from your twin. Okay, and in a lot of people's mind, they have it conjoined to where separation is because the masculine did A, B, C, or D. And that's not the truth. The truth is separation was part of the plan all along, because separation happened in Atlantis. And it couldn't be union without healing the separation. And as I said before, you can't heal separation from union. You have to experience the separation and move past it in a state of forgiveness and unconditional love. So just remembering that everything that happened between you and your twin was part of your plan, and it brought both of you where you need to be in order to see the things that you needed to see and heal the things that you needed to heal. And now it's time to let it go, and to let go of holding on to whatever pain is associated with separation. And if you can't, or you don't want to, then it's going to become more painful to hold on to it, because not letting the love in, or I should say not letting the love out, because the love is there. The love is always there inside of us, but it's like there's all this dirt and grime covering it up. But it's getting to where it can't be covered anymore. And if you keep trying to hide it and cover it up because you're afraid, or you don't want to feel vulnerable, or you feel like you might be rejected, then yeah, it's going to get more difficult for you. And yes, a lot of the things are subconscious. So some of the things I said, you may not even be consciously aware of in yourself. But this is also a year of a big awakening, where everybody is leveling up. So things will be more clearly evident that have been kept subconscious the more we get along in this realignment of the masculine and feminine energies. But not being in a state of forgiveness and unconditional love will block your spiritual growth and your awakening, and we don't want that. So this is really an exciting time because now that we've cleared enough and we're really getting into some of um, the nitty gritty, I guess, of healing the separation wounds. I think that we can really see the progress that we made and feel the possibility of things that could happen in the future. But let's talk a little bit now about the astrology of what is happening. So this rebalancing is happening primarily through the energies of Mars and Venus, and this is representing the masculine and feminine energy. Now, the moon and the sun also represent the masculine and feminine energy. And I feel like the moon and the sun are playing into it because they're being ruled by Mars and Venus at this time. So every year at this time, right, we have new moons and full moons in Aries, Libra, Taurus, and Scorpio because the sun is traveling through Aries and Taurus. But this year we have one extra lunation in Aries. So we have two new moons in Aries. And then we also have the North and South Node getting ready to change signs this year. So right now, the North Node's in Taurus, the South Node's in Scorpio, which is ruled by Venus and Mars. But in July, the North Node's going into Aries and the South Node's going into Libra, Venus and Mars again. But they're flipping, right? Because right now the North Node is ruled by Venus and the South Node is ruled by Mars. So it's a time where a lot of the clearing that's been going on has been clearing of the masculine energy because the South Node's been answering to Mars as it's in Scorpio. And where we were going was answering to Venus. When they shift, it'll be the opposite way. So the South Node will be answering to Venus because it will be in Libra, and a lot of the karmic clearing that will be happening will relate to the feminine energy. The North Node will be in Aries, and that will be putting us on the direction of the masculine, okay? And so this is helping that balance. So we have 5 lunations, as I said, being ruled by Venus and Mars right now. So the full moons that are happening now are in relationship signs, right? Because the full moons are in Libra and Scorpio because the sun is in Aries and Taurus. And this is focusing us on healing our self-empowerment and letting go of being controlled by others, whether that's actually true or not. And I say that because we may feel that other people are controlling us or trying to control us, but a lot of that is just our own inner projection and our own limiting beliefs. So we need to look into that. So the full moons are having us look at what are our limiting beliefs around other people, or why do we feel like we can't be ourselves because of what other people think about us. That's a lot in the energy, or maybe relationships or family, work situations like bosses, how you might feel like you're being controlled in all those scenarios. With the Taurus energy too, okay, we're healing a lot of deep trauma that's been buried for eons. And it's like all these most painful situations and traumas that we have put away somewhere in our mind, and we've tried to lock that box and throw away the key. But we all know that it's never fully locked up, and it's just happening on a subconscious level. So a lot of these patterns or things that happen to us are in some way being triggered right now. And they have to do with going into survival mode. So when I talk about trauma, I'm talking about mostly past life trauma, where you were put in a position where nothing else mattered but surviving. And now those same patterns that helped you cope and be able to survive are now creating negative aspects for you. They're creating limiting beliefs and fears, and they're keeping your emotions locked up. So a lot of the things that might be coming up, for example, don't really make any logical sense to us. But that's because they came about through like most extreme circumstances of survival. And there could be something about that triggered for you at the solar eclipse in Scorpio on May 5th, because Scorpio is known for where we kind of bury these old um, unprocessed feelings and traumas. For me personally, one of the things that I'm dealing with at this time is a past life that happened during a war, and what I experienced at war and being, I guess you could say, a prisoner of war after that, and the trauma, and how there are aspects of myself that still have basically PTSD from that lifetime. And I think a lot of us are walking around with past life PTSD and we're not aware of it. But, we have these beliefs, these patterns, projections that really are big limitations for us. And a lot of those limitations right now are connected to our next step as far as our life purpose goes. So, I did a video about this with one of my friends that's a therapist, and I will link that below in case you're interested. So as I said, today that I'm recording this is the Libra full moon, and at this full moon, we're doing a lot of healing about what other people think and how we sacrifice ourselves and our own desires for other people, and you can see how we really need a balance there, right? Because we can't sacrifice our own desires for what other people want. At the same time, we have to be conscious that other people exist, and we have to, we have to be kind, we have to be considerate. But a lot of the energy that's coming out now has to do with persecution. And so the triggers that developed here that we need to release are due to persecution. And so we're worried about what other people think because we're afraid of how other people are going to judge us. And then that creates the limitation. And it's that balance of the masculine and feminine. How can I do the things that I need to do while also being loving, but having appropriate boundaries at the same time? So a lot of healing coming in with this full moon, because the sun is going to be conjunct Chiron. We've got Mercury conjunct the North Node. Oh, okay. So I said earlier that it was going to be at the Aries eclipse. Sorry, guys. The Mercury's conjunct the North Node on that 4th degree. Probably the day that I post this. We also have Pluto in Aquarius. And that also has, at least in the first stages of Pluto going through Aquarius, so the first several years, we're going to be dealing with that trauma of persecution. So then we have the Aries new moon solar eclipse on April 20th. This is the second new moon in Aries, as I said, and there's a lot going on, a lot healing at this new moon. I mentioned a few times in the collective reading for April, that I was getting the words "a fiery climax approaches." I think it's from the Moonology deck. And that's certainly what the energy feels like. So some of the things that we have happening astrologically is, well, first and foremost, asteroid union is conjunct this new moon very tightly. There's only, a few degrees, not degrees, a few seconds of separation. And that really plays into the energy of the new alignment that's happening with the masculine and feminine as we start this new union cycle. This is a really fortuitous alignment to have for this new cycle that started a few weeks ago. Actually, the new union started in February. I was thinking of the solstice, but still, equinox rather, but still, that wasn't that far away. Now, other things that we have going on, Mars is conjunct Sirius, as I said. Mars is squaring Chiron, and then the new moon is squaring Pluto. And Pluto is the higher octave of Mars and also represents the masculine energy, as well as having us dive deep into our shadow. We also have Mercury almost conjunct Uranus. And so the Mercury goes retrograde the day after the eclipse and will not quite be in a conjunction with Uranus, but almost. And it's like, to me, it's saying that Mercury is getting so close to change, right? But oh, it's like, nope, gotta go back, gotta integrate all these new energies, these new codes, gotta integrate this healing before we can really change something about our mental attitude and our communication. And of course, with Mercury retrograde in Taurus here, answering to Venus, it's going to be healing a lot of communication between twins in combination with everything that's going on with Mars and this new realignment. So it's a lot. But this Mars energy is activating the downfall of Atlantis. And this is being healed by the incoming light codes. Well, and as I said that, like I just got this really weird tickle in my throat. This is the divine masculine reset. So, like the Mars energy at this eclipse really connects to the downfall of Atlantis, as I kind of touched on a little bit earlier. But this is being healed with the light codes that are coming in and bringing in this reset, almost like it's from that point in Atlantis. There's a huge karmic release that is helping the masculine energy return to the sacred warrior, which is battling for right instead of self-interest. Okay, this is the higher Aries energy. Aries is the sacred warrior. Chiron has been traveling through Aries for several years now, also activating the sacred warrior energy. And so I think with Chiron and Aries squaring Mars, we're going to feel that. And this is that return to God, right? When I said earlier, God's will be done. I think this eclipse is really activating that because, well, if we look at the fall of Atlantis, it was people desiring their self-interest over doing what was right that led to the fall of Atlantis. And the fall of Atlantis was the original separation for twin flames, the original separation of the masculine and feminine. And so when the masculine heals and they go into the sacred warrior energy, they're in that alignment with God. But at this time, over the next few months, we're really going to be doing a lot of work healing the grief around the split of the divine feminine and masculine, and how that's going to show up for a lot of you is past life energy, where you have deep separation wounds that are subconsciously keeping you both out of alignment and unable to come into union. We could also say that this energy has to do with the Lilith wound as well, and that original separation from God. because it was when, you could see the fall of Atlantis. You could liken that energy very much to Adam and Eve and eating the apple. And that fall, it was both like a separation of God, and where we were more interested in what would serve us rather than how we could serve God, goddess. So yeah, as I said, Mercury goes retrograde the next day, and it's going to be time to slow down and integrate all the changes that have been happening since the last Mercury retrograde. And there's actually been a lot of stuff. So really take time to rest. There probably won't be a lot of stuff happening with Mercury retrograde. Well, when we get these light codes coming in, it affects us usually on a very physical level. So feeling tired, feeling achy, if you're releasing things from your chakras, you may have issues around whatever chakra is being activated. So just plan on taking it easy. It's going to be a time where we take a look and heal those survival programs that I talked about, healing the communication, letting down our guard, not just with twin, but with God as well. And we've talked before on how when we don't let our twin in, we're not letting God in. And that when we're holding on to that negative energy, we're blocking God, and we're not listening to God. In truth, we haven't wanted to follow God's laws. And I'm not just talking about the 10 commandments here. I'm talking about being love. That's ultimately what God wants. God just wants us to be love. And yeah, we haven't listened. We've been dealing with the separation, focusing on the separation. So Pluto is also going retrograde on May 1st, which is Beltane. And we're going to be doing a lot of clearing around limitations in our voice and communication. And again, it goes back to our mission as light workers and taking our missions to the next step and being able to use our voice without fear of retribution or without needing to please other people. One of the things happening astrologically that's really helping us end separation is Saturn moving into Pisces. And I haven't really had time to talk about this, but this is a very fortuitous transit that we're going to be having. Now, one of the things that we don't often acknowledge is that as human beings, we can become afraid when we feel like we're losing our identity. Okay, so as humans, we resist the idea of oneness because we feel like if we are one, then will we lose who we are? And can you see how this is connected to twin flames and the union of twin flames? It's like part of us resists the union because we wonder if we're going to lose ourselves in the union. And that's why we have to go through the periods of separation, because it's through that separation and the healing that we do that we really define ourselves as individuals and who we are on the truest level. And then when we feel that, we're more able to feel comfortable going into that energetic union with our twin. Now, it's the same on a very broad collective level, because we can think like, there's 7 billion people on Earth, or however many there are now. And who am I in regards to the 7 billion? And we can feel so small. We can feel lost. And that makes us want to hold on to our identity. And what Saturn is doing is releasing our fear that we're going to lose ourselves, that we won't have the appropriate boundaries, that we won't know who we really are. And I think a lot of that energy goes back to a video I did called Why the Age of Aquarius Needs Leo. It's like so important going into unity that we also recognize ourselves and we can be ourselves fully. Because if you can't be yourself fully, then you're going to get lost, aren't you? You're going to get lost in those 7 billion people because you're so worried about pleasing other people that you're not doing sometimes what you know to be right. And isn't that something that we see a lot of today? Like, are we interested in just towing the line of what people think we should do and say? Or are we afraid that we're going to be canceled? Like, this is why it's important for light workers to overcome this, because you can't be worried about being persecuted and being canceled and getting people mad at you, because sometimes you have to say things that are difficult to say, things that are confronting, because well, we have to break down the old programming. Now, I'm not saying to be a jerk or to be aggressive, and I've seen that too over the last few years, where people take it upon themselves to be, the voice of truth and attack other people under the guise of, well, I'm doing you a service. That's not how we do it. How we do it is we live by example, and we allow people to see our example and want to emulate what we are. So I think I got off topic a little bit, but yeah, see, Saturn makes us comfortable with the oneness, or Saturn has a transit through Pisces, is trying to make us comfortable instead of always being afraid and wanting to have boundaries. Now, if you have a lot of Piscean, Neptunian energy, you know what that feels like, especially like the more spiritual we become, because we're empaths, and it can be difficult to even know energetically where one person starts and one person ends, or I should say, like where do I end and where do you begin? That becomes very kind of nebulous and unknown with the Pisces energy. And so we really need Saturn to ground us and bring a foundation to this energy so that we can have boundaries and still be in unconditional love. Okay, so back to the Scorpio new moon. Scorpio new moon is on May 5th. And well, we talked a bit about healing these buried wounds, the buried trauma. Now, this moon is answering to Mars in Cancer. The Sabian symbol for the Scorpio full moon is children playing around 5 mounds of sand. Now, when I think about mounds, I think of burial mounds, which a lot of native peoples, not just in North America, but in Europe as well, created burial mounds. And so to me, I think grief, buried grief, and the emotions, the ruler of the new moon. So let's just say that a new moon, and not a new moon, a full moon in Scorpio is always going to have a lot of emotions connected to it anyways, because it's Scorpio, but it's answering to Mars in Cancer, which is, emotions. Actually, we could say that the moon and Mars are in mutual reception. So Mars is ruling the moon and the moon is ruling Mars. So it's like those planets can interchange with each other. So yeah, I'm gonna predict that time around that full moon eclipse is going to be emotional. And some of that could be dealing with grief that you know about from this lifetime, or maybe grief that you are more subconsciously aware of. Again, I'm seeing that the Atlantean energy is going to be strong and healing relationship damage from that separation. And then we have Union and Vesta in a conjunction. And I mentioned that in my new union cycle, that Union and Vesta were going to be traveling together a lot at the first half of the year. And that is igniting the sacred union energies. It will be part of the codes, I'm sure. All of these energies very much playing together. But Vesta is the asteroid that represents twin flames. But both of them are going to be conjunct Mercury retrograde as well. And so again, I'm feeling like that energy of love and passion, and this love that just doesn't want to hide anymore. This love, it wants to find a purpose. That's what I'm getting. It has to be channeled into some sort of purpose now. And into togetherness within and externally. So I think I'll end it there, guys. Thank you so much. I hope that it resonated with you. If you would like more information about me, my website will be linked below. Please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please make sure you're still subscribed. And I look forward to speaking with you all again. Thank you so much. Sending you a lot of love.